يوم لا ينفع مال ولا بنون إلا من أتى الله بقلب سليم. وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله المصطفى الأمين، أرسله الله رحمة للعالمين فشرح به الصدور وأنار به العقول وفتح به أعينا عميا وآذانا صما وقلوبا غلفا. صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. ثم أما بعد. Brothers, before start with the subject, there's a mistake. They told me I should mention it. There's a mistake happening. There's a lot of mistakes, but there's a common mistake happening in the Muslim communities. We should not see it, which is saying salam to the person you know him. Salamu ala al-khasa, ala al-ma'ruf. You say salam only to the people who you know them. And this is something against the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You see in this like Arab people, sometimes you say Assalamu alaikum, Ahleen. This is the respect. If one from his people, wa alaikum assalam, ahlan wa sahlan, sabah al-khair, sabah al-ward, sabah al-baqit, sabah, start with a lot of conversation. But if somebody else, Ahleen. And also from the non-Arab, sometimes you look at the person, he's passing by, he's not saying salam. When he sees people, the big conversation. When you say salam to him, either responding with shame or not responding, smiling to your face like this, fake smiling, and this is against the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Spread the salam between the Muslims. Say salam to every Muslim you see. If you're from your people, from your country, from anywhere, when you know he's a Muslim, say salam alaikum. Salam alaikum. You're getting 10 rewards. Salam alaikum. One guy, he came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, Assalamu alaikum. He said, wa alaikum assalam. He responded to him and he said 10. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, meaning he got 10 rewards. Another one came, he said, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. He said he got 20 after he responded. Another one came, he said, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. He said, after we respond to him, he said he got 30 rewards. So when you say salam, you're getting reward. Why you not say salam? The other day I was sitting with my family. My daughters have hijab. We have, we look funny with the beards, to some people. Meaning clearly we look like a Muslim. And my daughters, with the hijab. And the person next to me is asking me if you are a Muslim. And he's a Muslim. He's from a Muslim country. He's from a Muslim country. He's asking me if I am Muslim. Why we should act like this? Why we should deal with each other like this? So this is something somebody told me to mention it. Please say salam to any Muslim you see. Say salam alaikum. And please say salam alaikum. And then respond to Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, you answer, you do better or just answer. if you're not able to answer him better than he says salam, for example, he says salam alaikum. If you're not want to say, doesn't want to say wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah, just at least respond to him wa alaikum assalam. Barakallahu feekum. Yes, sir, brothers.
I have seen there is some correspondence between the Muslims, one Muslim to another Muslim, especially in the email. They said only just salam, not the assalamu alaikum, just to say salam. So in that respect, what we say? Should we say nothing or just we say wa alaikum assalam?
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, if someone says salam to you, respond to him. حَيُّ بِأَحْسَنَ مِنْهَا أَوْ رُدُّوهَا. So respond to him better than his way, or just say the way he respond to you, say salam to you. But the right way of salam with alif and lam, as-salamu alaykum. Or in the Quran is mentioned, salamun alaykum tibtum, salamun alaykum, salamun alaykum. The common salam, as-salamu alaykum, with alif and lam, as-salamu alaykum. Okay, we have a subject today. Our subject today is a warning for the people who consistently staying upon the mistakes or sins. They disobey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and they continue it. Consistently they are disobey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. It's a warning for them. Also, so meaning the one who doing mistakes, he have to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and return back to Allah, right? And also is a good news for the people who want to return back to Allah. So it's a warning for the people who upon the mistakes, and also it's a good news for the people who want to leave off the mistakes. If someone have money, have a nice life, have easiness, have a good business, doesn't mean Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala love this person. This is not a sign of the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The real sign of the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you see yourself, you have energy for the worship of Allah. This is the sign of love. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for you, the doors and gates of good, you doing it or going to it, so this is the sign of love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the easiness of the life, the money, business, this is not a sign of a love of Allah. Because some people, they think, Allah loves me. Allah loves me. And this is not true. Could be Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless him. And we have no doubt, if you have good or you have bad, is a test. If you have money, is a test. If you are poor, is a test. If you upon the worship, is a test. Even staying upon the obedience also is imtihan, is a test. But when you pass this test, when you did good, then you go, to a higher level. So anything in this life, bad or good, is a test. We have no doubt. But mujarrad, you just have an easy life or money, car, house, whatever you think, this is not a sign of love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the one who consistently upon the disobedience of Allah, and then he still have when he have, also this is in Arabic they call it istidraj. This is the plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for him. He gave him time. He gave him time to think. He gave him time to thank Allah. He gave him time to say astaghfirullah. He gave him time to return to Allah. If he did, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wipe all his mistakes. Allah will get rid of all his mistakes. Doesn't matter if he disobeyed to Allah 10 years or 50 years or 100 years. Doesn't matter. When the person, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, give him tawfiq to make tawbah, to return back to Allah, so Allah wiped all his mistakes and turned it to a good deed for him. So consistently making mistakes and you have an easy life, this is istidraj. This is the plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's giving you time. Muhal. Time after time. He knows what he's going to do. He knows about you. But this is for you to have no excuses. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, بَلِ الْإِنسَانُ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ بَصِيرًا. Everyone, he knows himself. You know yourself what you're doing. You know yourself if you're doing good or bad. Because this is something, naturally Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put it in the heart of the people. You know yourself. If you're doing good with the people, wallah, you know yourself, you're doing good. If you're not good with the people, you know you're not doing good. Even if you claim, even if you say it with your tongue. So, Qaryat Iram, the village of Iram. I don't know how I translate this part. There was a city. It was a city, from gold. From gold. The Ruba al-Khali, which is distributed between 4 countries: Saudi, Yemen, Oman, and Emirates. And the most is a desert. It's a desert, only sand. There's nothing, sand and nothing. And some places, maybe if you go, maybe after 5 minutes, you will be covered with the sand. Because they was disobeyed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so Allah turned this place, there is no good for living, and will stay to the day of judgment. Nobody able to live in this place. It's a desert between Saudi, Yemen, Sultanate Oman, and Emirates. And then the most part is in Saudi, this desert. The city was from a gold, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him time. Give him time, they now return back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroyed them. Destroyed them to the day of judgment. Nobody able to live in this place. So again, if someone disobey to Allah and he have an easiness in this life, be sure that there's a plan from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He gives you time. Maybe a year, maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 4, maybe 10, maybe more. And he knows what you're going to do. If we ended with tawbah, with return back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, والذين لا يدعون مع الله إلها آخر ولا يقتلون النفس التي حرم الله إلا بالحق ولا يزنون ومن يفعل ذلك يلقى أثاما يضاعف له العذاب يوم القيامة ويخلد فيه مهانا إلا من تاب وآمن وعمل عملا صالحا. So after this time, If Allah give you tawfiq, you ended with returning back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all these mistakes is going to turn into a good deed for you. If not, then all this easiness you have in this life will add it, to difficulty for you in the day of judgment. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, أَفَأَمِنُوا مَكْرَ اللَّهِ فَلَا يَأْمَنُ مَكْرَ اللَّهِ إِلَّا الْقَوْمُ الْخَاسِرُونَ. Why? إِلَّا الْقَوْمُ الْخَاسِرُونَ. The one who ignoring the plan of Allah, truly they are amongst the losers. Because the one who ignoring Allah's plan, there's nothing, there is no description better than what Allah described him. Losers. You know everything is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know you've been created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything you have from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Owned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If we talk about your life, if we talk about your health, if we talk about your limbs, if we talk about your intellect, about your vision, about your, if you talk about the provision, if you talk about your life, it's all in the hand of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you know that. And you ignoring Allah's plan. So then the person he's, he knows himself. He knows himself. So then that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described him, he's amongst the losers. This is only whoever ignore Allah's plan, they are amongst the losers. We have a hadith and we have ayat. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, when we talk about the people before, when we talk about the Fir'aun, when we talk about the others, the evil leaders, Haman, Qarun and others, if we talk about them, there was the most evil people. Who can be more evil than Fir'aun? Tell people, Ana Rabbukum al-A'la. I'm your Lord. Who can be more evil? And then look how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ended his life and his mulk. And then Qarun also. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala خسف به الأرض وخسفنا به وبداره الأرض. So if we look at, to the people, to the evil people, what happened to them? So this is the situation of all evil people. This is the end of all evil people. ولا تحسبن الله غافلا عما يعمل الظالمون إنما يؤخرهم ليوم تشخص فيه الأبصار مهطعين مقنعي رؤوسهم لا يرتد إليهم طرفهم وأفئدتهم هواء. So the end of all evil people has to be as happened to the people before. It's not going to be a good end. So then we have to think about, ourselves. We talk about ourselves, as our level. If you do mistakes, if you disobey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, don't stay doing it. Don't keep doing it. Because there's a plan. If you leave it off, then everything will be wet for you. And you will be great to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because whoever disobeys to Allah, he's amongst the zalimeen, the oppressors. Whoever disobeys to Allah, any type of disobedience is a dhulm. There's a dhulm, مع Allah, there's a dhulm, oppressing, yourself, others, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with your kids, with the friends, with, different type of oppressing. The ayah Um, ولا تلمزوا أنفسكم, the beginning of the ayah. ولا تلمزوا أنفسكم. No, ولا تنازل, beginning of the ayah. بداية الآية. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا يسخر قوم من قوم عسى أن يكونوا خيرا منهم ولا نساء من نساء عسى أن يكون خيرا منهن ولا تلمزوا أنفسكم ولا تنابزوا بالألقاب بئس اسم الفسوق بعد الإيمان. ماذا بعد ذلك؟ ومن لم يتب فأولئك هم الظالمون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, oh, when you believe, don't make fun on each other. Don't slander each other. Man and woman. The one who's slandering, the one who pointing, the one who's saying bad about him. Maybe he's better than you by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you don't know. This is for a man and woman. وَلَا تَنَابَزُوا بِالْأَلْقَابِ. Don't make a bad name for each other. Don't make a bad name for each other. Wallahi, this is all of you. Be witness. Whoever making a bad name for me, wallahi, I don't forgive him. Except if he come apologize and say, I'm sorry for what I did and what I said or what I make. I don't forgive him. I don't for whoever make a name for me. I will stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ask for my right. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, don't make names for each other. Don't make names for each other. And then he said, the worst thing, when you call a Muslim fasiq, you call him fasiq. You call him terrorist. You call him Wahhabi. You call him such and such. And then this is only you will see yourself with the darkness in the day of judgment. Because names for the believers, you making names for the believers, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala end of the ayah said, وَمَنْ لَمْ يَتُبْ, whoever not making tawbah, after he making names for the Muslims, after he's slandering Muslims, after he's, and look today what the people doing, because the Hizb al-Shaytan, this is what I call Hizb al-Shaytan, the group of the Shaytan, and they have a Shaytan, which is the media. They have the Shaytan, and then they slander the Muslims on everywhere. They post it on all over the places. They against the Muslims, and then in the end, that's dhul wa hawan, humiliation in the dunya and on the day of judgment for them, because this deen is being protected by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Quran is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inna nahnu nazzalna dhikra wa inna lahu lahafidhun. Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, even the people of shirk and people of bid'ah and people of innovations, people of superstitions, doesn't matter how they bark day and night as the dogs, doesn't affect, because it's being protected by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent على رأس كل 100 سنة من يجدد لها أمر دينها. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Allah will send the scholars every centuries, every 100 years. Allah sends scholars. They renew meaning they clarify for the people. They make sure what is right, what is wrong for the people. What is people they destroy, or they affect, or they slander, or they make a mess. So there is the scholars coming after they clarify with all this mess, and they make it clear for the people and show it clearly to the people. To the day of judgment. If all people upon the earth against As-Sunnah, so As-Sunnah, and the end, they will be on the top. Doesn't matter, how they against them, because they've been protected by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They've been protected by Allah. If you get rid of me, I'm nothing compared to the good people. If you get rid of 10, it's nothing compared to the thousands Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made them. The people, they not make themselves. If I have some knowledge, it's not from me. If you have some knowledge, it's not from you. If you have a love to read books, it's not from you. If you want to study, it's not from you. Because Allah make people. Allah will make people to protect His religion. And all people, if against the deen, Allah will make some people to support His deen. And they will not be able to against them to the point stop them from the religion to the day of judgment. So again, if someone, the ayah we mentioned, the first ayah we mentioned from the chapter, أفأمنوا مكر الله فلا يأمن مكر الله إلا القوم الخاسرون. So we mentioned whoever disobey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he's amongst the people of oppressing. And we mentioned the ayah, the sins, the people making it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called them oppressors. And then if they not make tawbah, if they not return back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called them oppressors. So I don't want to go too far. So this is the warning for the people who making mistakes. And then the second part, doesn't matter for how long you make mistakes, don't lose hope. Doesn't matter if you did whatever you did. Doesn't matter what you did. Any type of sins you did. There's nothing to make a partner for Allah. Even if you did. Don't lose hope. قل يا عبادي الذين أسرفوا على أنفسهم لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله إن الله يغفر الذنوب جميعا إنه هو الغفور الرحيم وأنيبوا إلى ربكم وأسلموا له من قبل أن يأتيكم العذاب بغتة وأنتم لا تشعرون. So don't lose hope. The sinners, the one who making adultery, fornications, killing, stealing, doesn't matter what you did. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He called with a beautiful way. قُلْ يَا عِبَادِيَ الَّذِينَ أَسْرَفُوا عَلَى أَنفُسِهِمْ. Say, O Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, say to my servants who they did mistakes in their life. They did all type of mistakes. لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله. Don't lose hope. Don't lose hope. إن الله يغفر الذنوب جميعا. Allah will forgive all type of sins. When you say astaghfirullah and you return back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So two different things. Warning for the people who staying upon mistakes, and then also is a mercy, is a good news for the people who want to go back to Allah after mistakes. And then the scholars, they said Muslims, he lived between love, al-khawf wal-raja, the fear and hope. The scholars, they said Muslim, he should live between fear of Allah and hope for His mercy. How you can live? If you have more fear, you're going to damage. If you have more fear, you're going to damage. Why? It's taking you to lose hope. If you have hope more than fear, it's taking you to make mistakes and ignore. Clear? If you have balance, if you balance it, they said there should be like the wings of a bird. You should balance it. You have fear of Allah and you have hope for His mercy. But they said, if you are young and you healthy and you rich and you have money you should, in this place, you should have more fear. Why? Because you are young and you're healthy, so meaning your desire is stronger, and you have money, you're able to do whatever you want. So in this part, you should increase your fear more than the hope, to balance it for you. And then if someone, have a sickness or illness or disease, and then maybe people think he will die. He will not live for too long. So in this case, the scholars, they said you should increase your hope. You should increase your hope. Don't lose hope. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is able to do anything. Don't lose hope. So if you have difficulty, you increase your hope. If you have easiness and you're young, you have money and good health, so increase the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There will be balance. Otherwise, in general, should be you have a fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you have hope for His mercy. So make it balance. It will be easy for you to live upon the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How long will you be talking, Zoe?
31 minutes.
31 minutes. So I don't want to take longer. If there's any question, any explanation, so we can continue, inshallah. We still have time. Huh?
Adhan time.
Is it?
Another time?
I've heard it being a long time.
Okay. So you're going to start with Allahu Akbar?
Muhammad.
Muhammad?